Boiled, grilled, griddled, roasted, or pan-fried, there are lots of totally tasty ways to cook a hot dog, but not every method is masterful. Avoid these blunders on a bun. First up, if you're not buying the right kinds of hot dogs, you're just not going to have a stellar experience. Yes, it's tempting to buy the budget brand hot dogs that are on sale, but you'll regret it. The bare minimum measure of quality when it comes to hot dogs? An all-beef center.
Hashtag unbreakable beef bond.
If the packaging says that the hot dog is made up of some strange mixture of chicken, beef, and pork, you probably ought to stay away. After all, you don't really want to mix up all of those proteins in any other dish you make, so why would you want to do that for your hot dog? Another sign of short quality? If the hot dog has a natural casing made from pork or lamb, you're likely in good hands. You want something that's going to snap when you bite into it. When a hot dog snaps, that means it's fresh. Along these lines, you want to pay attention to what your hot dog's packaging says about its casings or skin. Natural pork and lamb casings are the most desirable as they not only provide that snap, but they also hold in all of the hot dog's natural juices. But don't be fooled if you see a hot dog that claims it's made with a cellulose casing, because that's not a real casing at all and you don't want it. What's the difference? In the instance of a natural casing, the casing is retained through cooking and then when eating. If a hot dog uses a cellulose casing, though, that means the maker simply fills the casing with their hot dog meat, smokes it, and then peels the casing off before packaging and selling the hot dog. That means the hot dog doesn't come with an intact casing and it is essentially skinless. That means no snap and nothing to hold in those juices. So when you're shopping for some hot dogs, look for the natural casings only. According to the USDA, hot dogs last about 2 weeks in the fridge unopened. Then, after opening, they last a week. However, if you pop them in the freezer, they'll last 1 to 2 months at top quality and indefinitely at subpar quality. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. The problem isn't with the freezing itself, though, it's in the defrosting. According to today's experts, if you don't thoroughly ensure that your dogs have completely come up to room temperature all the way through, they just won't cook evenly, and you'll have a difficult time. You might even find that your hot dog is burnt to a crisp on the outside before it even becomes remotely warm on the inside. So to play it safe, don't freeze your hot dogs. Just purchase the hot dogs within 2 weeks of when you plan to eat them.
Hot dogs, it's what's good in life.
Once you're ready to start cooking those hot dogs, you need to take a look at your grill. Just like you wouldn't cook with a grime-encrusted dirty pan in your kitchen, you don't want to cook on a grime-encrusted dirty grill in your backyard. So give it a clean with a grill brush first and foremost. Then you want to oil up your grill ahead of turning on the heat. This is vital to your hot dog cooking experience because if you skip this step, you're very likely to end up with hot dogs that simply won't rotate easily, or that altogether stick to your grates. And no one wants to spend their grill session ripping hot dogs off a grate. For oil, you can either spray your grill grates with a nonstick spray from the kitchen or use a paper towel with a bit of high heat oil and manually wipe down the grates. It's happened to us all before. You start up the grill and really get it going, you throw on some hot dogs, and then the distraction happens. Whether it's your thirst for another frosty beer from the fridge, a friend or family member who's just arrived at the barbecue, or shooing a hungry pup from beneath your feet. Whatever that distraction is, it effectively gets you away from the grill. Then when you return, your hot dogs are worse for wear. That's because hot dogs take very little time to cook, and if you're cooking grass-fed beef hot dogs, they'll take even less time to cook. According to a Men's Health article, your average hot dog only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to char on each side, which means your hot dog will cook in 6 minutes or less. If you're cooking grass-fed beef hot dogs, they'll take about 1 minute per side or 2 minutes total due to the lower fat content. In other words, walking away for even a few seconds could spell disaster for your hot dogs. We've already talked about how a high-quality hot dog is apt to have that tasty, all-natural casing that just snaps when you bite into it, releasing all of those tasty spices and juices. But what if your hot dog snaps prematurely? That's exactly what can happen if you put the hot dogs over too high a heat, allowing the casing to burst and leaving you with a hot dog that's less than ideal. According to the Hoffman Sausage Company, which has been making German-style hot dogs since the late 1800s, high grill flames are your enemy when it comes to cooking hot dogs. The company, which is based out of Syracuse, New York, told Syracuse.com. The trick is to not put the hot dogs over a high flame, otherwise they're apt to split and burst open and leak juices and fat, which can lead to flare-ups.
I fought a grill in the grill once.
But on the other side of things, while you don't want to cook your hot dogs over high heat due to the risk of your hot dogs bursting open, you also don't want to cook your hot dogs over too low of a grill heat. If you start your grill and don't allow it to heat up and just toss your hot dogs right on, you could end up with a tough, dry hot dog that's just been sitting over low heat for too long. The same thing could happen if you let your grill die down too much before adding your hot dogs. The key is striking just the right balance. According to the experts interviewed at Business Insider, the ideal grill temperature for cooking hot dogs is about 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Not sure how to check your grill's temperature? Use the hand test. If you can hold your palm roughly 3 inches above the grill grate and hold it there for 4 seconds before pulling it away, your grill is somewhere between 400 and 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I know what you're thinking, even more rules about hot dogs and heat? Well, it turns out that incorrect heat, whether it's too low or too high, can really ruin your hot dog experience. Additionally, according to today's meat experts, you shouldn't cook your hot dogs over direct heat either. Avoid direct sources of heat and open flames, regardless of whether you're cooking with charcoal or gas. And if you are cooking with charcoal, the experts recommend wait until the coals are completely white before you add any of your food to your grill. This will ensure your temperature isn't too high. Charcoal brand Kingsford further recommends that when cooking hot dogs over charcoal, only stack your charcoal on one side of your grill so you can move your hot dogs around the grate if you find that the heat is too low or high in one spot after you start cooking. Not all hot dogs should be grilled at the same temperature, just like as mentioned before, not all hot dogs can be grilled for the same amount of time due to varying fat content. Grilling expert and condiment creator Julie Boucher told Business Insider that grill masters at home should consider the fat content in the hot dogs to determine the appropriate level of heat to grill them at. Boucher went on to say, higher fat dogs should be cooked at a medium heat, whereas leaner dogs should be grilling on a medium-low setting. Look at your hot dog's fat content before you plop them on the grill. And if you know you specifically bought low-fat hot dogs, like some of the fat-free options on the market, or even turkey or chicken hot dogs, turn down that flame. Once you get your hot dogs on the grill and you're confident that you have the best heat level for your particular hot dogs, you can't just walk away. You have to rotate those dogs. Based on the fat content of your hot dogs, you'll want to rotate them every minute or every few minutes. You'll get a feel for how often you need to rotate by how quickly the hot dog casings develop grill marks. It's better to err on the side of rotating too quickly than it is to err on the side of rotating too slowly. And once you have grill marks all the way around, you're not done. As Good Housekeeping points out, you want to roll those dogs all the way to the coolest side of your grill so that you can use your gas or charcoal heat for the next step in the necessary process for grilling a perfect hot dog. And that next step in the process? Grilling your bun, of course. Regardless of what kind of hot dog buns you buy, you can upgrade them with a little time on the grill. Just use the same heat you were using for your hot dogs, and once the dogs are done, toast up your buns for a minute or two. An NYC hot dog expert told NPR that adding a little bit of butter to the bun ahead of grilling helps too. Mom's grilled cheese sandwich when you were a kid was always kind of made in a frying pan with butter, and was always delicious. Anything with butter on it is great. And if you're just plain bored with your average hot dog bun, Nathan's Famous has a few ideas for you to shake things up a little by adding your grilled dog to a baguette, pretzel bun, or even a tortilla. Oh, you thought once your hot dog was done and your bun was toasted that you were finished creating the perfect hot dog? Not so fast. You're going to want to pay close attention to your condiments, too. While you could go with plain mustard and ketchup, if you really want to take your grilled hot dogs to the next level, you're going to want to get creative with your toppings.
Hey, hot dog guy, can I get 6 hot dogs down here, please?
Right away.
And make it right, please. You know, with the mustard and the ketchup and the relish. And don't make me hit you up for more.
Don't be scared. Your hot dogs are a blank canvas on which you can paint an endless array of gourmet flavors.
Colombian perros calientes, literally translating to hot dogs, get a creative and crunchy twist, thanks to a handful of potato sticks or crushed chips. The combination is absolutely heavenly, with the crisp, salty chips playing off the meaty hot dog, soft bun, and oodles of tasty toppings. Sounds great, right? Just simply purchase a bag of potato chips or sticks, crumble them on top, and let the magic begin. Another way these dogs get sufficiently dressed up is the salsa rosada, or pink sauce. It's a combination of mayonnaise and ketchup that adds a hearty, delicious zing to your hot dog. Toss on some fresh slaw, salsa, and pickles if you want to get really fancy. One of the best places to discover new hot dog recipes is
Reddit, obviously.
And there you can find mention of a hot dog piled high with tomatoes, feta, and maybe an olive or two. This fresh Greek-inspired combo works because it cuts back on the fat from the hot dog itself. and infuses bold and bright flavors into every bite. The feta adds a sharp, cheesy bite that pairs perfectly with ripe, juicy tomato slices. Add a few cucumber moons to the mix if you want to go full on. Although cucumber might seem like a strange topping for your favorite hot dog, the coolness of the veggie works in brilliant contrast with the hot dog itself. Finally, homemade or store-bought tzatziki rounds off the dish. While you don't technically need it, the tanginess and creaminess of the sauce really wraps it all together. Savvy foodies can find kimchi dogs on menus all over the world, but you can also make them right at home, since plenty of specialty stores and even larger traditional convenience stores carry the condiment. Although it's akin to sauerkraut, kimchi packs a little more flavor, with notes that are both familiar and exciting all at the same time. So if you love slaw or sauerkraut on your hot dogs, there's a good chance that you'll find kimchi right up your alley. Although freshly chopped onions are the ideal companion to any tasty hot dog, there's something simply divine about sautéed or caramelized onions. As with many of the other toppings on our list, slow-cooked onions bring a satisfying dose of sweetness to your charred hot dog. Plus, texturally, they go well with a crunchy toasted bun and a nicely cooked dog. That makes for one of the more gourmet toppings on our list. The key to melt-in-your-mouth caramelized onions is patience. These babies have to cook low and slow until they get that golden, richly caramel-colored hue and fantastic flavor. A bit of butter, some olive oil, and sliced onion, plus at least 45 minutes is all you need to dive headfirst into sweet onion heaven. But if you're looking for a textural difference, you can also throw in some raw or fried onions for contrast and some additional flavor. The Sonoran hot dog is one of the country's most beloved regional hot dog styles. Although every corner of Arizona does them differently, there are a few key things that you'll find on these bacon-wrapped beauties, including avocado and salsa. Whether your salsa is hot, medium, or mild doesn't matter much. What's truly vital is the pairing of both these yin and yang ingredients. One brings the heat, and the other brings the cool smoothness of fresh avocado. Being the iconic street food that it is, the Sonoran hot dog is crowned with everything imaginable, like pinto beans, mushrooms, peppers, and condiments. They top a beautiful foundation of chunky, fresh salsa and ripe avocado. You can duplicate it yourself at home, with homemade or canned salsa and thinly sliced or smashed avocado. Pineapple on pizza is about as polarizing as it gets.
Pineapple? Ugh.
So much for that.
But they're pretty good on hot dogs, which can get a fruity glow up from some sunny-hued pineapple salsa piled on top. Known as the hula dog, this fantastic dish originated in Hawaii. It made its way to the mainland thanks to the twin flavors of sweet tropical pineapple and sriracha. Although you can get super fancy and make your hula dog with pineapple salsa, some purists love to simply pile on the fruit and enjoy the delicate dance of sweet and savory. Although sriracha is the original hula dog spice, you can use any hot sauce that you have on hand or simply forgo it altogether. The beauty of this sweet and sassy dog is its simplicity and unexpected flavor profile. When you think of hot dogs and cheese, do you picture that neon yellow gas station goo? If so, it's time to upgrade your thinking. Good melted cheese is phenomenal on hot dogs. Think brie, Gruyere, or smoky sharp cheddar. Once you have your satiny, creamy blanket of premium cheese, you can dress your dog up any way that you'd like. Chili is phenomenal with cheese dogs, and fried onions give the dog a little extra kick and texture. You can even opt for several different kinds of cheeses, for varying tastes and flavors, or look to the Midwest for cheesy inspiration. Their designer cheese dogs are a regional favorite, and you can find them on tons of different menus. For example, in Kansas City, hungry diners can scarf down a hot dog loaded up with sauerkraut and Swiss cheese. Piling freshly roasted corn on top of a perfectly cooked hot dog and a piping hot bun is an excellent example of execution and primo flavor pairing. Sweet roasted corn complements the richness of a meaty hot dog, and you can brighten up the whole thing with some citrus. If you like your dogs hot, throw on some chili powder, jalapenos, or even a little cheese. A mix of hot sauce and mayo wouldn't be amiss either. Purists can simply go with the corn and the hot dog, reveling in the sophisticated interplay of flavors and textures. Although you can get this masterpiece in plenty of places all around the country, it's easy enough to replicate at home. Just make sure that you use fresh, not canned corn, and roast it to perfection before loading it on your dog. Macaroni and cheese is one of the world's cherished and classic comfort foods. While it works perfectly as a sidekick for your hot dog, true connoisseurs know that the best way to do it up properly is to load your macaroni and cheese right onto the dog itself. In fact, many restaurants offer versions of this delicious duo, but you can certainly make it yourself right at home. All you need is a few generous scoops of store-bought or homemade macaroni and cheese, a perfectly grilled dog, and a sturdy bun. Since the mac and cheese tend to be pretty heavy and goopy, it's good to toast your buns before loading them up, especially if you're adding other tasty elements like bacon bits or crushed potato chips. Also, make sure that you have plenty of napkins on hand.
We got enough napkins? Yeah, we got enough napkins. That's enough. That's enough right there.
When it comes to toppings, ranch dressing is in a league of its own. People slather this undisputed king of condiments on everything from chicken wings to garden salads. So why not try it with the humble hot dog? If you want to make your hot dog shine, swap out ketchup or mustard for a generous drizzle of ranch dressing. It adds a creamy, tangy vibe to the hot dog that goes well with another topping fave on our list: potato chips. Thanks to its inspired flavor profile, the ranch hot dog craze is picking up plenty of steam. So whether you use store-bought or make your own, we recommend you try this unexpected and fun flavor combo this summer. It might not be the most outside-the-box topping, but you might find yourself swearing off the ketchup and mustard forever and discovering a whole new dimension of ranch dressing. Pesto is an excellent, bright, herb-like topping for your hot dog. Packed with plenty of cheese, garlic, basil, nuts, and oil, pesto is straight up yummy and can add a dose of springtime to an otherwise heavy meal. However, if you opt to top your dog with pesto, be careful of competing flavors. Pesto tends to be stronger, so it plays nicely with creamier dressings like mayonnaise. It's also intensely flavorful, so a little drizzle will definitely do for you. If you want to get really varsity level, consider tossing a few basil leaves in a toasted bun before loading up your dog with a squirt of pesto. The contrasting textures will make the dish sing, and certainly give you a brand new hot dog tasting experience like no other.
For those who don't have a grill, the use of a frying pan, an oven, a microwave, or a pot of boiling water works well too. However, boiled water presents a problem for some home cooks, as there is often confusion as to whether or not hot dogs should be left to sit in scalding hot temperatures. Here's why that's a big no-no. No! Let's start with this fundamental question. How should you cook hot dogs in boiling water? According to Food 52, it's a pretty simple process. Boil some water, drop your hot dogs in, and let them swim around for 4 to 6 minutes. Don't cover the pot with a lid. Remove the hot dogs when they start to look plump and let them rest on a plate lined with paper towels. What happens when hot dogs sit in the pot for too long? Hot Dog Profits states that they'll get mushy and emphasizes that hot dogs should never be left in boiling water. L'Academy goes on to explain that overboiled hot dogs won't taste as good, their texture will be off, and they might even burst. To add insult to injury, overboiled hot dogs also result in off-putting gray colors and bland flavor, since the hot dogs won't have any salt and/or preservatives left inside. The solution lies in the dirty water dog technique. About an hour before serving, warm water is mixed with a variety of ingredients, such as ketchup, onions, vinegar, and/or any number of suitable seasonings. Hot dogs then sit in this water, which begins to take on a dirty water appearance. The water should not be kept at over 160 degrees Fahrenheit. This way, the hot dogs will stay warm, plump, and flavorful because of the seasonings and/or food extracts in the heated water.
Ranking right up there with cereal, hot dogs are probably the easiest food to assemble and eat. Place it into a bun and shove it into your mouth, right? Wrong. Well, at least according to the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, which is apparently a thing that even has its own acronym, NHDSC. The NHDSC is actually a marketing extension of the American Meat Institute, which is funded by contributions from hot dog and sausage manufacturers and those who supply them with equipment, ingredients, and services. Essentially, it's the mouthpiece of Big Wiener, which is a sentence we never thought we'd say. And it's really not happy with how you've been chowing down its most prized product. So, if you find yourself taking smaller bites than most people, there's a chance you haven't been eating your hot dog the right way. According to the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council's Hot Dog Etiquette Guide, it shouldn't take more than 5 bites to finish one dog. However, if you're eating a foot-long hot dog, it's acceptable to finish it in 7 bites. Some of the NHDSC's other rules include how to dress your hot dog properly, having no frills serving, using a paper napkin to clean your mouth rather than cloth, and perhaps most controversially, giving up ketchup on your hot dog after you turn 18. This isn't just an NHDSC rule either. Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry held a deep disgust for those who taint their franks with globs of ketchup.
You know what makes me really sick to my stomach?
What?
It's watching you stuff your face with those hot dogs. Nobody, I mean nobody, puts ketchup on a hot dog.
Per CNBC, Chicagoans also have been pretty vocal about their disdain for ketchup, even blasting Heinz for trying to muscle in on their famous hot dogs. But before you go thinking eating a hot dog is all serious business, the NHDSC gives you one final rule to remember. There's never a bad time to serve hot dogs. According to the council, an astounding 75% of Americans prefer their hot dogs over the grill, while a paltry 2% prefer them microwaved. Meanwhile, 76% of Americans enjoy their franks with an ice-cold soda, with the classic cold beer following close behind at 54%. The NHDSC even takes a stand against the, quote, tall tales about myths of what exactly goes into a hot dog. Disregarding the rumors of pig hooves and offal, the NHDSC takes viewers on a video tour of a meat plant, showing hot dog-hungry citizens that nothing but real meat goes into their wieners. There's nothing in a hot dog that can't be found on the ingredients label. The NHDSC assures fans. There's one hot dog-related topic on which fans may never agree: whether or not a hot dog can be classified as a sandwich. In a jocular 2015 announcement, the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council declared that a hot dog is not a sandwich. The NHDSC president, Janet Riley, said in a statement, "Limiting the hot dog's significance by saying it's just a sandwich category is like calling the Dalai Lama just a guy. Perhaps at one time its importance could be limited by forcing it into a larger sandwich category, but that time has passed." Riley went on to add, "We therefore choose to take a cue from a great performer and declare our namesake be a hot dog formerly known as a sandwich." A separate NHDSC poll found that 57% of Americans don't consider hot dogs sandwiches.